Well, this is an Ashes series that's really living up to its hype because England are right back in the contest after dominating a rain delayed day, the day 3 here at the Headingley Stadium. They need 251 to register their first win of the series, and I think there's a pretty good chance we could see them go 2-1 in this series. So let's talk a bit about this test. Let's first talk about the changes both teams made coming into Headingley. For Australia, they had a couple of fitness issues. Green was unfit, Lyon was unfit, and they brought like-for-like replacements, Mitchell Marsh and Todd Murphy, respectively, for them. Boland and Hazelwood got rotated, which I think is something normal given it's a pretty long Ashes series. For England, though, there were a couple more interesting decisions. The first thing was they got rid of Ollie Pope, who hadn't been performing much for them, and they brought back Moeen Ali as a spinner because at Lords, I don't think they needed a spinner at all. At Headingley, they probably will. And they got rid of Anderson and Tongue as well. Josh Tongue, that's fine, you want to rotate him. Jimmy Anderson. He had a pretty poor start, yes, but come on, he's one of the best bowlers in the world right now. 686 wickets, the most successful and most prolific fast bowler in the history of the game. To drop him is a big statement from Ben Stokes, but I personally think he's going to get maybe at least one more game in the Ashes. But Wokes and Wood have really lived up to their billing as well. So probably the right decisions made here by England. Australia, of course, hampered by injury. Let's talk a bit about day one. England won the toss, a massive toss to win, because in day one at the start the conditions were really difficult for batting and England were able to take full advantage for them. They reduced Australia to 85 for 4, got rid of Warner, Smith, Labuschagne, got rid of the main players. 85 for 4. Australia were in dire straits at that point. They could have been 180 all out, and that is where Mitchell Marsh counter-attacked. You know something different about Marsh's innings? It's not that he faced a great number of balls or he just had great technique and he was able to survive longer than Smith and everyone else, which he did. But the main thing was Mitchell Marsh recognized that right now conditions for batting are difficult. Even if I try to defend, if I try to hang around here, eventually there's going to be a ball with my name on it, I'm going to get out. So guess what? He went and he counter-attacked. He went after the English bowlers. He brought them under pressure. He put the momentum back in Australia's favour. And guess what? He managed to get a century while doing that. That's a champion's mentality right there. 240 for 5, brought Australia back into the game. It's another thing that at the end Australia completely collapsed. Jesse Marsh gaya, Australia completely lost their footing, which shows how much Marsh was stabilizing the Australian innings today in this test. And after him, Australia had a collapse of 6 for 23. There was a statement during the Edgbaston test where Ollie Robinson said Australia have 3 number 11s, and sure, that statement may have come back to bite England at Edgbaston, but today it turned out he was probably right. Australia do have a pretty weak tail, and 6 for 23 is not ideal for any team's tail. England, on the other hand, as far as their bowling is concerned, Mark Wood was the star. You may say that he got most of his wickets at the end from the tail enders, etc., not proper batsmen. Mate, he took 5 for 34. Those are outstanding figures, whether you're bowling to tail enders, whether you're bowling to number 11s or number 4s. And I think the pace on this particular wicket really proved to be useful. England's batting 237 is what they got. And I think if you look at it in depth, it's a pretty different story than that. They were 142 for 7. They were 167 for 8. They were done. They were going to be 180 all out until one man stood up. I think the thing with Ben Stokes is you need to put him under pressure. If the team is batting at 500 for 4, Stokes isn't going to do anything. If the team is struggling, 100 for 5, almost lost a game, that's when something inside him wakes up. That's when something inside him brings the best out of Stokes. Diamonds are made under pressure, and Stokes really is a diamond, and that's exactly how he played. Got a quick fire 80, powered England single-handedly to 237. If you look at the scorecard, they were 167 for 8, just 2 wickets left. The tail didn't give him too much support either. It's not that he managed to hang on for a long amount of time. Rather, the same thing as Mitchell Marsh. He only had about 10 overs left with the last couple of wickets, but he counter-attacked, put the pressure onto the Aussie bowlers, and that's how it took England to within 20 or 30 runs of the Australian total. So Australia did have a lead, but again their top order couldn't fire. They were again 80 or 90 for 4. Smith and Labuschagne got out early. This time it was Moeen Ali who managed to get rid of Smith and Labuschagne. So an inspired selection from the England think tank. Then rain really on this particular day, day 3, played spoil sport. They couldn't get going until long time. 115 for 4 Australia were when the day started, and they ended it 224 all out, largely thanks to Travis Head, because at 170 for 8 they could have been 180 all out easily. So those extra 30-40 runs Head managed to add with the tail were really crucial. And now England, they have a target of 251. I think if you told England before the test match you're going to have a target of 251, they'd probably have taken it. I think if you told them they'd have a target of 251 after day 1, after day 2, even right now, they'd have taken it with both hands, because 251 is pretty chaseable. We saw Australia chase down 280 last time. We saw England come pretty close, cross 320 while chasing at Lords. And the last time we had an Ashes test at Headingley, I think everyone remembers England chased down 362 thanks to Ben Stokes. This time it's only 251. So I think England are definitely favourites going into day 4, which is probably going to be the last day of this test, weather permitting. But there's a couple of things tactics wise that England need to be aware of. The first thing is only 3 batsmen have looked comfortable in this test: Marsh, Stokes and Travis Head in Australia's second innings. What's common in all 3 of them? They all counter-attacked. They all played fast. None of them tried to hang in there. They all tried to take advantage. They all tried to go after the bowling. So this is something England need to do. If there was ever a time to play in a baseball style cricket, it's right now. So let's see if England can stay true to their mentality, and let's see if they can bounce back in this series, because if they can't chase 251, the Ashes is done and it's going back to Australia where it was before the series started. So I think it's a pretty intriguing day. From Australia's side, the main thing is just be clinical, take advantage of the pitch. You know, it's not the easiest pitch to batch on. There's a reason no team has managed to cross even 300 in this test. So 251, I mean, I would say England are favourites, but Australia definitely have a chance. The one thing we've seen with this England side is they are prone to collapses. They were 188 for 1 at Lords, then they collapsed, and I mean, it's been a recurring theme in this series. It's been a recurring theme with baseball as well. So I think with 1 wicket, if they can convert every wicket they take into a couple of more wickets, if they can take advantage of whenever a new batsman comes to the crease, that's going to be the key for Pat Cummins and his men. So I'm really excited what's going to happen on day 4. I think we're going to see an England win. But honestly, the way the series is going, I wouldn't be surprised if anything else happens as well. That's all from the Cricketing Hour. Thanks for tuning in. Allah Hafiz.